The accusations came during Thanksgiving preparations, just after my sister Jessica finished whining about having to do all the work while I stayed in my wheelchair. "Get up and help with dinner," Mom yelled from the kitchen, waving angrily at me. "Everyone else is pitching in while you just sit there." I stayed quiet as the familiar tirade unfolded. Around the dining table were the usual lineup: my parents, Jessica and her husband Mark, my brother Tom with his wife Linda, and Aunt Carol, who had driven in especially to witness what she called an intervention. "Sarah's issue," Dad said while carving the turkey with his usual commanding tone, "is that she's given up on herself. She uses that chair as an excuse to dodge responsibility." At 27, I'd been the family's disappointment for 3 years, ever since my car accident left me paralyzed from the waist down. To them, I was just Sarah, the daughter who chose self-pity over determination, supposedly exploiting my disability to avoid contributing to the family. "The doctor said she could walk if she really tried," Jessica chimed in, arranging the silverware around me. "But she's comfortable being helpless." "It's pure laziness," Tom agreed. "She sits there all day instead of working on rehab." What they didn't know was that my so-called laziness involved leading groundbreaking spinal cord injury research at the National Institute of Neurological Research and developing experimental therapies that could restore movement for countless people. "Sarah used to be so driven," Aunt Carol said, shaking her head. "Now it's all excuses." My phone buzzed. A message from my research director, Dr. Patterson: "Thanksgiving presentation confirmed for 3 p.m. Dr. Martinez's findings will astonish the family." I glanced at the clock. 2:45 p.m. Mom continued, "Sarah could walk if she wanted. She's just choosing to stay in that chair because it's easier than fighting." In reality, I couldn't walk. The L2 vertebra had been completely severed, but I was fighting every day to create treatments that might help millions of people with similar injuries. "Remember when Sarah was in medical school?" Dad reminisced. "She had so much potential before the accident made her give up." The irony stung. I hadn't given up on medicine. I'd redirected my career to spinal cord research and had become a leading authority in paralysis treatment. "She could at least help out around the house," Jessica said, "instead of just sitting there feeling sorry for herself." My phone rang. "Dr. Rodriguez calling." "Excuse me," I said, wheeling toward the kitchen. "Sarah, I'm 5 minutes away." "Ready for your family to see your research?" "As ready as I'll ever be, Dr. Rodriguez. They think I've given up. They're about to learn their lazy daughter has transformed spinal cord treatment." I returned to find my family still dissecting my supposed lack of drive while passing the dishes around. "The physical therapist said Sarah quit trying," Mom told Aunt Carol. "She went a few times and then stopped." "That's false, Mom. I did 18 months of conventional physical therapy." "Then why are you still in that chair?" Dad demanded. "Because conventional therapy doesn't regenerate severed spinal cords," I wanted to say. Tom scowled. "Other people with your injury learn to walk again. You're just not trying hard enough." In truth, no one with a complete spinal cord injury at my level had ever walked again using standard therapy, but my experimental treatments were showing real promise. "It's your attitude," Linda added. "Sarah's decided to be a victim instead of a survivor." That victim attitude had produced 3 experimental therapies now in clinical trials, but no one in my family had ever asked what I was doing. "So, what do you even do all day?" Jessica asked, her voice dripping with accusation. "Besides sitting in that chair, I actually work in medical research," I said calmly. "Research what?" Mark asked, raising an eyebrow. "Spinal cord injury therapies," I replied. Dad chuckled, clearly unimpressed. "Sarah, reading online about your condition isn't exactly research." "I'm not reading. I'm conducting experiments," I said firmly. "Experiments on what?" Mom asked, skeptical. "Clinical trials testing experimental spinal cord regeneration treatments," I answered. The table fell silent. "Sarah," Aunt Carol said softly, "it's great you're interested in your condition, but there's a difference between learning about treatments and actually developing them. My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Patterson: Dr. Martinez has arrived. Should we start the presentation? The doorbell rang. I'll get it, I said, wheeling toward the front door. The security monitor showed Dr. Elena Martinez, chief of spinal surgery at Johns Hopkins, standing outside, briefcase in hand, radiating confidence. I opened the door. Dr. Martinez beamed. Sarah, congratulations on the FDA approval. Your research is going to transform millions of lives. Thank you, Dr. Martinez. My family has no idea about this work. They think I'm lazy, unmotivated. They don't know you're leading the most groundbreaking spinal cord trials in history. Dr. Martinez's eyes widened. The Dr. Sarah Patterson who created revolutionary nerve regeneration protocols, is considered lazy by her own family? Yes. I led her into the dining room. My family froze at the sight of a renowned medical professional at our Thanksgiving table. Everyone, this is Dr. Elena Martinez, chief of spinal surgery at Johns Hopkins. Dr. Martinez, meet my family, I introduced. Dr. Martinez placed her briefcase on the table. It's an honor to meet Dr. Patterson's family. She's told me a lot about you. Dad blinked. Dr. Patterson? Wait. Sarah, you're Dr. Patterson? Dr. Martinez nodded. One of the leading spinal cord researchers in the world. Mom's voice barely rose above a whisper. Sarah, a doctor? Dr. Martinez opened her briefcase and pulled out medical journals and research papers. Dr. Patterson earned her medical degree and a PhD in neuroscience, all while rehabilitating from her own spinal injury. Truly remarkable dedication. Jessica stared at the spread of documents. She has a PhD in neuroscience and specializes in spinal cord regeneration. Her research has completely changed how paralysis is treated. Tom picked up the journals. Her name's on all of these, as lead researcher? Yes, Dr. Martinez said. Her studies have been published in top journals, the New England Journal of Medicine, Nature Neuroscience, and The Lancet. And she's been testing her experimental therapies on herself the entire time. Testing herself? Aunt Carol asked incredulously. Yes. She's the first patient in her own clinical trials, tracking her own progress while developing treatments for thousands of others. Dad's mouth hung open. Progress? Sarah, I thought you couldn't walk. Dr. Martinez smiled. That's why I'm here today. Sarah, would you like to show them the latest results? I pulled out my tablet and displayed brain and spinal cord scans from the past year. These scans show nerve regeneration in my spinal cord over 12 months of experimental therapy, I explained. The images clearly revealed new neural pathways forming across my injury site. The treatment protocols I developed have restored 34% of my severed spinal nerves, I said. Mom gasped. Sarah, what does that mean? Dr. Martinez answered with pride, it means Dr. Patterson has accomplished what medical science once thought impossible, real spinal cord regeneration in complete injuries. Injury cases. I rose from my wheelchair. Gasps filled the room, followed by stunned silence. The FDA approved my treatment protocols yesterday, I announced, taking deliberate steps across the floor. Nationwide clinical trials begin next month. Jessica's face crumpled with tears. Sarah, you can walk. I'm relearning to walk using treatments I developed while you all assumed I was lazy, I replied. Dr. Martinez produced official FDA documents. Dr. Patterson's work marks the first successful reversal of complete spinal cord injuries in history. Additionally, she continued, she has launched the Patterson Foundation for Spinal Cord Research, with a $50 million endowment dedicated to advancing these therapies. Dad's mouth hung open. $50 million? Sarah, where did that come from? Patents on my discoveries, research grants, and consulting work with pharmaceutical companies implementing my protocols, I explained. Dr. Martinez spread newspaper clippings across the table. Dr. Patterson appeared on the cover of Time magazine as Medical Researcher of the Year. Her methods are now being used in hospitals worldwide. Tom stared at the magazines in disbelief. Sarah, you're famous in medicine. I'm recognized in spinal cord research, yet to my family, I was just lazy and unmotivated, I said quietly. Dr. Martinez looked at them sharply. Dr. Patterson's commitment, conducting world-changing research while rehabilitating herself, has been extraordinary. She continued groundbreaking experiments while relearning basic movement. The family sat in stunned silence, a mixture of guilt and amazement. Within hours, they realized their lazy daughter had transformed paralysis treatment while they accused her of giving up. Sarah, Mom said, tears welling in her eyes, we never knew you were doing medical research. We thought you'd given up. I never gave up, Mom. I just redirected my energy towards something that truly matters, I answered. Dad looked down, embarrassed. Why didn't you tell us about your research? Because for 3 years, you labeled me lazy without ever asking what I was actually doing with my life, I said firmly. Dr. Martinez began packing her documents. The medical community is ready to adopt your protocols. Millions of patients will benefit from your work. 6 months later, my treatments became standard practice in leading medical centers worldwide. The Patterson protocol for spinal cord regeneration restored mobility to thousands of patients previously thought permanently paralyzed. The family attended the ceremony where I received international recognition for my research, but their pride felt hollow, based on accolades rather than understanding the struggle behind them. Jessica tried to make amends. Sarah, we're sorry. We didn't understand what you were going through. You didn't want to understand. It was easier to assume I'd given up than to see what I was truly fighting for, I replied. My foundation continued funding spinal cord research while I focused on my own recovery. Walking became easier as my treatments succeeded, yet family relationships remained strained. Their respect was tied to recognition, not the persistence they had dismissed as laziness. A year later, Tom called about a friend who had suffered a spinal injury. Sarah, can you help him? He's lost hope after his accident. I can help him medically, I said, but I can't fix family members who assume paralysis means giving up. The family that once called my research laziness had learned too late that the lazy daughter they underestimated had been the one developing the very cures they ignored. Sometimes the breakthroughs that change the world arise from the struggles families choose to minimize. Sometimes the person labeled lazy is the one working harder than anyone else. And the wheelchair they used as proof of surrender became the very platform from which I revolutionized medicine.